Question: if a girl had a toy that had a frequency that she was like, oh, you know what? I'm just gonna go out in the day like this. Why not? And for some reason, she was in the way of what you were trying to catch. Would you be able to hack into that? I mean, because it all works frequency.
There would be more steps.
Oh, okay.
Because any of them that are remote are usually Bluetooth.
Oh, okay.
Bluetooth has a proximity of 30 feet, 10 meters.
Okay, cool.
So, I mean...
What?
I mean, I'm asking because...
I think he fell into the trap. Yeah. Like, he's like, most of them are Bluetooth, so this thing won't work.
Wait, so you're trying...
It does have a Bluetooth...
fell right into
it does have a Bluetooth
JD's
radar.
trap.
That's actually come up before. Funny enough.
I bet it has.
And I've wanted to make a TikTok about it, but I know the second I do, that shit will get taken down.
Yeah.
You think so? Oh, you think? Yeah, let's see how long this video stays up.
What's going on, guys? Chris here with F and Sunny. F, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Chris, how are you doing, buddy?
Can't complain. Loving this weather. We got a cool guest tonight, man. Yeah, man. We got JR Padilla, the sec engineer on TikTok, man. He's somewhat of a sensation. He has like several million views on TikTok. So how you doing, man?
Hey, good. Glad to be here.
What the heck is a sec engineer?
So that's short for security engineer. So I focus a lot on cybersecurity content, mostly educational, and then other stuff around my career and how I got there and stuff.
So cyber security is a big deal right now, right?
Yeah, I think it's been for some time. Especially, but I think it got the most spotlight in probably like the last 10 years because of ransomware. It finally became like a household name of like most people nowadays know what ransomware is.
So what is like ransomware? Like ransomware is when you're on your computer and then all of a sudden you get that like red or blue screen that says we locked you out and pay X amount to Nigeria to unfreeze your computer, right?
The ransomware is essentially when your data gets cryptolocked, it gets encrypted, and the malactors have the encryption key to be able to get your information back. The encryption on these things is not something that can be breakable unless it's inherently made wrong, unless you have millennia to try and break it. So it's usually either you have a backup or you pay or you lose your information. There isn't really any other options.
So there's no way that even if you hire the best computer person on the face of the planet, they won't be able to get it back for you.
Not the vast majority of the time. There are exceptions, and that is for certain strains of ransomware where either the ransomware gang themselves released the universal keys, or there was some inherent flaw with it that was found by security researchers, and were able to bypass a lot of the intricacies of decrypting that are able to make a decryptor for it. One way to find out actually is and it's a resource that I've referenced a lot because it's super useful. It's called
Twitter.
Actually, yes, but. Well, at least it used to be. I don't know now. But it's called No More Ransom. NoMoreRansom.com or .org. I'd have to double check. But it's a community put together resource of all kinds of decryptors for ransomware. And it works really easily too. So all you do is every time you get ransomware, there's always a ransom note. They want you to be able to know who to pay, right? And those notes work like a signature. Every different strain of ransomware and ransomware gang, I mean, they're going to format it differently. So you put in the ransomware note in the website. If you have any sample file of an encrypted file, you upload that too, and it'll help you determine what ransomware it is. Sometimes it's as easy as like looking at the file extension. It'll be like whatever your file is, .cane or .xyz or .conti, stuff like that. So for that one, you would know it's the Conti ransomware. It's in the name. That one's pretty bad.
It's like mobsters of the internet, man.
That's exactly what they are. So the vast majority, and you mentioned Nigeria earlier, funny enough, the vast majority of all ransomware are Russian-run ransomware gangs.
Oh, wow.
So it's not even like...
Boris is over there doing it.
You pay me in $500 iTunes cards. I release it.
The cryptocurrency, of course, is kind of what sparked all this. It made it easier to be able to transfer money, make it untraceable, relatively untraceable. And I don't know, just do it internationally easily. Before it was what you have to do something like that, buy a gift cards or try and wire transfer, but then that's a lot easier for a government to just seize. So yeah, cryptocurrency helped get this on the road, and then of course, well, I mean, crime is if they find a good avenue to make money, they're gonna make money.
Now, usually when people would get the ransomware stuff, at least back like in the day, it would be like, you're a cochino, you visited a porn site, and that's why you got that ransomware. But now we're seeing ransomware take down like big, like city websites, government websites, all types of that stuff. So primarily, where are you seeing the ransomware like come from?
Well, first, it still comes from a lot of those sites too. Funny enough, it's just not as
Abundant.
not abundant. It's not as complex on those.
So the people from the city are sitting down watching cochinadas. They're watching bad things.
I can neither confirm
not-
nor deny that,
not
but I
safe
will
for
say
work?
Are they
that
looking
I
at,
never
bullets?
look too deep into the logs of the clients that I'm setting things up for. Yeah, so when I did incident response, I would be working with different school districts, cities, some banks here and there that were hit by ransomware.
But they were cochinadas.
No, 9 times out of 10, it was exactly what you think it would be. Not that. It was email, someone clicked on a link.
Really?
And yeah.
Oh, wow.
So
It's still by far the most effective delivery method for any kind of malware.
It's like, watch this cat video, and then you click it, and you're like, oh, just let.
No, they get really good about it. So like, one of the most common ones is people. I mean, they know when tax season is, when W-2 should be going out. So they'll start sending phishing campaigns around the beginning of the year with fake W-2 PDFs for people to download. And a lot of people are like, well, I need to get this done. I mean, all right. And they can see it's coming from a legitimate domain. So it'll say like from their workplace.com, right? Because it's not that hard to spoof an email where it's coming from.
Take a second and think of how many times you open your email and there's something there that looks legit.
And you're like, yeah.
Yeah. Right now, the most common one is going to be Amazon and just shipping ones in general. Everybody's expecting packages, ordering gifts.
Right now, T-Mobile's hitting me up. They're like, you won an iPhone and click here.
You know,
I'm like,
I
nope.
just got the. Actually, I got one.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've gotten tons of Amazon ones lately. It's like, hey, your order has had some trouble shipping. Click here to update your address or whatnot. The way ransomware gangs work is whatever the victims pay for ransom, everybody gets a cut.
Oh.
And the person with the largest chunk of the pie is whoever gained them initial access.
Whoever gets in.
Yeah.
So you say ransom gangs. I'm like thinking like thugs sitting down somewhere. You know, what is it like in a basement somewhere or?
I mean that's honestly kind of hard to tell.
It's like
They're
at Starbucks with a laptop.
They're not state sponsored for the most part, and I say that loosely because it's as far as we know. Right?
Yeah, as far as we know, yeah.
But the reason they're so prevalent in is especially Russia and of course other places like North Korea, a few places here and there in South America. But the reason they're most prominent in places like Russia and North Korea is they're very lucrative. I mean, you're talking about places where, say, the average income of someone is probably somewhere like 10, 20,000 USD a year. And for someone participating in ransomware, they can make that in a week.
So I see you got some stuff here. Yeah, man. What's going on
actually
here?
one thing I want to reference real quick, because kind of talk about a little bit what I do. Yes, I'm a senior cybersecurity engineer. I've worked for a couple different bars and companies and vendors. But most of the time when we bring up cybersecurity, and just like you've been teasing me about, the entire time we hear is like, hey, can you hack this? Can you get into this? Like I'm not a hacker. I don't do that. Here's a little bit of visual reference. That's Red Team. This is a Red Team field manual. It's just kind of a reference of common commands you want.
What's Red Team?
So Red Team is just that they're the attackers. They're the hackers, the penetration testers, the guys trying to break into stuff.
Oh, okay.
Whether legal or illegal, it's Red Team if you're the attacker. I'm on the opposite side, Blue Team. So this is my Blue Team field manual.
Most people think that in order for you to get hacked, that someone can just like randomly say, look at that computer or get that IP address and be like, I'm going to hack into it.
Oh man, that's a good one because it is such a big misconception, and I hear this kind of especially trash talk in like Call of Duty and whatnot. Of like, oh, I got your IP. I'm gonna find where you live. Like, there's not much you can get with an IP. you can get someone's IP from online gaming. A lot of games will have P2P, which is it's player to player connecting to each other. So if you have anything that can sniff the traffic, then you can see what other IPs you're connecting to, and you can get another player's IP. Discord is one of the easiest ways, actually. Discord is completely player to player or person to person.
So, question. I don't know if you've seen it, but like on YouTube or even some TikToks, there's like this dude that's always stalking people in video games, and like he legit like gives them information, like personal information, like during their gameplay, right? So like he's quote unquote hacking them or getting into their stuff, right? So like I feel like it's staged most of the time, but there's so many like people saying that like no, that guy's legit. Like I'm just saying, like, would it be that easy? Like if you were to play a game, you think you can find somebody's info like that? And
not as far as I'm aware. So I wouldn't be surprised if it is staged, but even then, let's say if it is legitimate, he's finding these people's information, it's not going to be off their IP. It's going to be off their digital footprint. So I mean, we publicly put out tons of our own information out there. So for someone with the right set of skills and the right tabs open, they might be able to get some of that info. So if you do end up getting someone's IP, and if you bust out any laptop, I can show you what we find on yours. But there's not much you can figure out other than like what ports are open out to the internet. I mean, that from there you can go on to see if there's anything vulnerable exposed out to the internet. But for most people at home, vast majority of the time, it's not that significant. If you do a whois lookup, then you can figure out maybe the area they're from. So with the IP, you can do whois, and it'll say like, oh, this is from McAllen area or South Texas or something like that. But not much past that.
So hackers are kind of like vampires, right? Like you gotta like let them in. You gotta allow them like access somehow, right?
Yes, but it'd be like a lawyer vampire where they're gonna find loopholes on like, well, you technically allowed me in.
Mm-hmm. But in the terms of like the emails, right? Like you have to click on something to allow that hacker to somehow communicate, right?
That's the most common method and the most successful one, but not the only one.
Okay.
So there is plenty of instances where a true vulnerability is the way that they got in.
Okay, so we're talking about, you have open ports on your computer, right? And inviting people in, the vampire. What about everybody has an Alexa at home or Google or something like that? Like, is that or even the light bulbs? Like, somebody's house is completely smart. Light bulbs everywhere,
Man, my house isn't dumb, bro.
But like, is that a situation? Is that something that can get you into a situation, like a predicament?
I mean, yes, there's always that potential.
Uh-huh.
So,
Alexa, order 5,000 pizzas.
It's, how do I put this? In my opinion, it's not something that's inherently inadvisable or bad to do. Mm-hmm. It's very often poorly executed, of course. But the main thing that it does when you add smart devices to your home is that there are more threat vectors, more areas where it's possible to get hacked.
Oh, tell us about the Flipper Zero. Tell us about the Flipper Zero.
I'm curious about
Sure, just a second.
That sounds like a hardcore.
So it's not that hard to get a device like this that has a low frequency radio in it that can clone those signals. Now there is ways to mitigate it. Rolling code is the main one. That every time you press that button, it's sending a different code. So there are mitigations.
Wait a second. Wait, that's like mind blowing. Like, so that device that you have right there can basically pick up like a remote control signal and save it.
Yeah, all kinds of signals. So
like your garage door opener.
Yes.
Shit. That's a more advanced universal remote.
No, but I mean, I think
it's like the ultimate universal remote because it's even a universal remote. This is an infrared sensor on this side. So I've used it once in a while for in my office. I have a window unit,
okay,
and I didn't know it was remote control. I was like, I wonder if I can turn it on with this. Yeah, all right, I don't have to get up.
It's really concerning though, because not only can you, not only you there's a threat, cyber, but like we just talked about, you can open up your garage door.
Yeah.
So that means
your house.
Yeah, that means like legit, you're opening yourself up by having a garage door opener, like technology that far. What?
The fair question is,
Uh huh.
I mean, yes, there's concerns, right? But the bigger question, I think, how easy is it to get that? Amazon?
No. You go
eBay?
to the Flipper's own site. It was a Kickstarter,
Oh.
but they're constantly sold out. So the hardest part about getting it is them being in stock.
Oh Jesus, they're sold out. That means people are buying them left and right.
So
You know how many
That's
and,
scary,
and
man.
I always get asked like, wait, how is something like this legal? Isn't it like a theft or burglary tool? I'm like, there's a workaround there. And the same workaround with the Hacker One is that it's actually not legal to sell an RF modulator with all these pre-recorded codes for different manufacturers and stuff, or a sniffer in general. But it's not illegal for them to sell you the RF modulator itself. It just can't come with the software with all that stuff on it.
Gotcha.
So when you order this, you connect to your computer, go to the manufacturer's website, download the software, and then install it yourself.
So pretty much
Because they can't ship it with it.
They're selling you the gun, and you get the
You-
bullets somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's like
Essentially.
It's
Yeah.
like hacking a Raspberry. Well, not hacking, but it's like programming a Raspberry Pi. You get the chip to do it, but you're putting everything in for it
All
to work.
the games.
the
and,
emulators and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, like, just like you said, it's basically, it's okay for them to sell you this as long as there's no ammo, but the ammo's on their website.
that's crazy.
Okay, what about the wireless remotes with vehicles?
So it actually works the same way as like garage door openers. And I was gonna say in your defense for garage door openers and stuff, it only matters if you have a crappy one.
Okay.
Well, what's a crappy one?
Jay's he's looking at his up right now.
So
I mean, think about it. Like most people are cheap. Like,
that's why, because it's not necessarily expensive. It has to be a shitty one. So what I mean by that is even inexpensive ones can use rolling code.
Okay.
So what rolling code is,
The first code's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The next one's like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
yeah, so it'll have a formula, an algorithm, right?
Yeah.
And it knows that only these numbers are going to appear on that list. So it has a list of answers or numbers it'll accept, and it goes in order. So if I get number in slot 20, I can no longer accept any numbers before that. So that prevents it from being repeated or from being, if I record any of them, as soon as you use a newer code on your vehicle or garage door opener, the ones I recorded are no good because they're expired.
so buy a garage door with rolling code.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So what else? Like, did you bring with you?
quite a bit of actually, like, we haven't even touched the surface on this on the Flipper Zero, because besides RF, it's also infrared, Bluetooth. There is RFID, NFC, and I forget what these are called. There's some little pins in the back for ones that require like a physical connection, but it works the same as RFID.
Wait,
So
you
I
said
brought some of
NFC. Isn't that like on your card? On your bank card?
Yes.
Shit.
Wait, is
Where-
that access to accounts?
Wait, what?
You can clone a bank card on there, but it is
And like you do
difficult
the
to
tap
use
pay?
depending on the financial institution. So this is
Check off that
the simple version of it, but I just have it here ready to read a card, and so when it passes by, you hear that beep. I don't know if the mic
Yeah,
picked it up, but you heard it.
I heard it,
And
yeah.
then it just gives me that card number.
Wow.
But the way I had it before,
Dude,
it
that's
would give me
crazy.
also the expiration date and
The
No.
this
No.
and the number in the back, and it would let me save it.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
Like card number, date, and the security code in
Yeah.
the back of your
the
card.
CCV.
So I don't have that firmware loaded up right now, but so right now when I scan it, I mean you just got to get a couple inches right, and then
Bro,
it just gives
yeah,
me the card
like
number.
it's literally like card, and that's all you need. So you can walk by somebody and just literally do that.
And boom, you got their card.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
just take a second and realize how scary that is.
Well, I mean, it's technology, bro. It's our rise and downfall at the same time.
Jesus.
That is crazy that you just like
Skynet right now.
went by your card and it just like scanned it. Can you tell us about your TikTok? Because you're a pretty big deal like on TikTok, right?
I
he's
mean,
being humble.
He's being modest.
Being humble.
He's being modest.
so TikTok, I've been making videos on there for I think like a year and a half. I've slowed down since I got my recent job because it's so demanding. I mean, I started off just making some educational videos on why you need good passwords. So I demonstrated how easy bad passwords can be cracked. Weirdly enough, TikTok didn't take that down. It's still up. Knock on wood. Either way, those are old videos. But it's because TikTok's notorious for taking down cybersecurity content. But I haven't really ever had that problem. But I've always focused, other than those first videos, I've always focused on the blue team side, on what you can do to protect yourself. Yeah, because that's what I know. Like, I'm not going to try and just do hacking videos when that's not even my bread and butter. That's not what I know best. What I know best is what you can do to protect yourself.
Yeah.
And that ended up, like, I guess other people cared. Because
Well, I mean,
there's no one else like really talking about it. I mean, you could.
honestly,
well, because tons of people are always posting about, like, oh, look at this, how easy that you can hack this, or look how vulnerable this is. It's like,
but how do you protect
that
it?
is a very specific situation, and yes, there is plenty of instances where stuff is configured badly or it's vulnerable, but just scaring people doesn't give them anything to act on other than fear, other than avoiding stuff.
So how do you think your average person should protect themselves?
One, for sure, a password manager is my biggest recommendation, sir. There's tons. A lot of them are free. A lot of them are free, but that is definitely the first one I suggest, because the passwords are the holy grail of cybersecurity. If you get that, you own that person. You own their account. You could own their livelihood. You could own a whole organization with a password. So don't take those lightly.
Yeah, they took
I
over.
completely understand how inconvenient it is to have different passwords and complex passwords, and I completely hate places that force you to have special characters and numbers.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yep.
I would, like 9 times out of 10, say no. Force me to have a 12-character password rather than add special characters. Because the way we use special characters does not make stuff that much more secure. We use patterns, like we use dollar signs for S's or fives,
Force
@ for A's,
A's.
stuff like that. So it becomes predictable, and I can program that into my password cracking, and it doesn't really add that much more complexity. But it does. It doesn't make it harder for a machine to get your password, but it makes it harder for you. So that's the complete opposite of what we want. We want something that's easy for us and hard for them.
It's counterproductive.
Yeah.
So-
A longer password is the main solution to that.
So it's like every work that you ever go to, and it's like you're gonna make a password. Make sure you don't use your name, your birthday.
Yeah. My recommendation has always been, the same as XKCDs and a lot of others, is make at least 12, preferably 16 character password, but just random words. Don't pick the words. So it's not associated to you whatsoever. Use a random word generator, open up a dictionary or whatever. But just pick 4 or 5 random words.
That makes a lot of sense, man. Like,
It's easier for me to remember, like, Whiskey Radio Dreamcast than to remember typing in anything with freaking numbers. Or like my randomly generated passwords that I use for that within my password vault, because the password manager makes randomly generated passwords. There's no way how I'm going to remember those. But they follow all the rules that every website wants you to do.
Wow. Most of my passwords are in Klingon, so good luck with that.
Oh, that's actually a good one.
Babe.
And
Yes.
one of my favorite things came about my password videos is when I recommended, hey, use a random word generator, or open up dictionaries to random pages and point or whatever what you have to do to get random words, use that. Some people point out, I was like, what if I use different languages too? I'm like, dude, that's even better, because when I set up a password attack, I select language dictionaries too. So if you're adding another layer to that, it's already practically impossible when using 4 or 5 English words. If you're mixing languages, then it's in no shape or form, no matter how much money I have, it is not practical for me to try and guess this anymore.
If people want to like check out your videos and stuff, like where can they find you?
So I mostly post on TikTok, once in a while on YouTube. Not much lately, because as we were discussing earlier, editing videos is a pain in the butt. I barely have enough time for TikTok right now as it is. But yeah, TikTok will be the main portion. There's a lot of great tech creators on TikTok, actually. I'm surprised how much the tech part of it has grown. But you can find me there at SEC Engineer, SEC Engineer, as in security, not the Security and Exchange Commission. Exact same thing on YouTube and Twitch, everywhere. I do have Twitch, and I don't use it often, but when I do, it's usually either playing Smash, because why not, or giving lessons on stuff like setting up a firewall or security network, stuff like that.
JR, thank you so much for coming out.
Yeah, JR, it's been awesome, man. Learned so much from you talking.
Oh, thanks. It's been
Absolutely.
great being here. I
Absolutely.
love talking about this stuff, so I'd be happy to anytime.
Can I borrow that for a Tesla?
But we're gonna be coming back. We're gonna visit you. We're gonna do a part 2, right?
Have to do a part 2. Have to.
More
Nice.
stuff, more tech stuff that can protect us. So yeah, man, stay tuned.